My dear fellow listeners and viewers, good evening once again, and welcome to another edition of the Dr. Narine Dat Show. The whole idea of the Dr. Narine Dat Show is to create a safe space for positive energy and mutual respect. If you're listening and watching us for the very first time, keep in mind that there are a few different ways to do so. You can listen to us on the regular dial, that's the radio, 102.7 CKMS FM. You can listen to us on Rogers Digital Cable, for those of you who have the Rogers Digital Tel box. And of course, we are also live streaming our interview here. So by all means, please take the opportunity to share our page. This evening, we are joined by a very, very talented young man who we have had on our older show, Let's Chit Chat with Narine Dat. But we have invited him back again so that we can have him share his knowledge with us because he's full of knowledge, very kind young man. And that's one of the reasons we have invited him on our platform on the Dr. Narine Dat Show. So, Pandit, how do you actually pronounce your name? Is it AJ or Ajay?
Ajay. Yeah,
Ajay.
Ajay.
Good thing I asked. Good thing I asked. There you go. Some people say AJ. Maybe it's a Canadian thing.
Yeah.
Right. All right. Ajay, thank you so much. So, Ajay, wow, well, Pundit, Ajay, welcome to the show. How are you doing this evening?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. I'm very much grateful for the opportunity to be back here. It's been a while. The last one was a few years ago. So it's good to be here and I'm doing good. I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm doing good. It is extremely cold here, and where I'm at in Kitchener, Ontario, Canada.
Yeah.
But this is winter time, and all of these things are to be expected. So this is not the first time we have had these kinds of weather. Just very normal, but I'm responding accordingly. It is cold, that's for sure. But anyways, welcome to the show. So what we'll do, we'll kind of get you to kind of reintroduce yourself back. So that, just in case if folks are watching for the first time or seeing you for the first time, like, they will get an opportunity to know you, and then we'll kind of dive into things, particularly as to why you've chosen your particular path,
Yeah.
and things along that line. So take it away, introduce yourself to us, and we'll take it from there.
Well, to everybody that's listening and viewing, of course, I am Ajay Rambali. I am from Trinidad and Tobago, a beautiful, beautiful island. And in simple terms, whenever I'm asked to define who I am or say who I am, I always say I'm a person that is trying their very best to keep dharma or religion, Hinduism, that is, in a safe way, in a good way, in a pure way. Um, Honest to God, we are living in a world now where it's really kind of falling, it's really kind of dwindling, and a lot of people are running from our dharma, our religion. So I simply say, my duty, who am I? Somebody that's just trying to preserve it and protect it as best as I can. So that's who I am.
All right. Well, thank you so much for that. Very much appreciated. Here for sure. Just a reminder that this is a very safe space here, so just be yourself. And I like the fact that you mentioned something about honesty as you are responding, so you are on the right track. That's a good way to start. That's awesome. So take me back to your earlier days, though.
Mhm.
Earlier days, growing in Trinidad, as you mentioned, it's a small island. Take me back as to what life like was for you growing up, in your neighborhood, going to school, all of these things. What was it
Yeah.
like for you?
So I always tell everybody there's no place like home. Trinidad for me is one of the most beautiful places anybody can wish to be. Of course, yes, there's little ups and downs like everywhere, but Trinidad is home. And growing up here, it was wonderful. You see, being from a Pundit family and from a Pundit background, your life is kind of directed in certain ways. So there's certain things you indulge in and certain things you don't indulge in. So I've had the privilege to indulge in everything that is very much love and everything that is very much honest and everything that is very much on the purer side of life. So there's no parties and no craziness, but there's devotion and there's divinity and there's mandir and there's praying and interacting with people and connecting with people, with God. Growing up, I was involved with music from a very early age. I started to play tabla at the age of just 3 years old. So
Wow.
I've been there for many years, and then I started harmonium at a much later stage, and then got into the panditai, of course, as I was growing up, and you're learning to make sure you have all the little this and that's of the world in order. So it was only love. It was a place of only joy and happiness and a lot of togetherness. I grew up with a lot of love, and I grew up seeing the world with the eyes of love. So I don't really see the negativity in people and so on. I only see the goodness in them. I have a beautiful mom and dad that has showered me with everything, everything. So my eyes only see the love in people. It sees the good in people. It sees the best in people. And that's how growing up for me was.
Amazing. Well, very rarely we have folks or have people who sees the good thing in people. So,
Yeah, yeah,
so I'm happy to hear that. That's awesome. And I have social work background, and that's something
yeah.
we're trained to
Mhm.
kind of focus on because we can get caught up into the one thing that's not going so well in people's life, and people in general can get stuck there, which is a very it is a very challenging thing, for some people. And so we train people to do exactly how you were brought up. So you've kind of, you came from a good background. Maybe it's karma.
Very much. Yeah, very much.
So yeah, so that's awesome. Thank you so much for that. How about school? Like when you were in school, like did you went to like public school?
So in Trinidad, we have public schools. So of course, with kindergarten or preschool, as we
Hmm.
call it,
Hmm.
and then you go to what we call as a primary school or the basic levels of school, and then of course
Hmm.
from primary you go to secondary or high school. So we had public schools. I went to public schools. I enjoyed school in the much later phase of it. Yeah.
Hmm.
So when you're in that phase of school, high school, where you're choosing subjects and you're planning out your pathway, where you want to go, what you want to study, what you want to focus on, that's where school and I connected even more. Not saying that I didn't enjoy it before. I enjoyed it, yes, and I was a good
Hmm.
student.
Hmm.
Fun fact, when I was leaving primary school, I won the award for the most disciplined student. So I
Ooh.
love school. I have a good relationship with school. But where you get an extra drive, an extra motivation, an extra desire to wake up every morning and go is in those later stages where you're planning yourself, when you're fixing yourself to, do something with your life and be something with yourself. So I love school. It was good.
Awesome. And we love having you here. I want you to know that you are a very well-spoken young man. I want you to know that.
Thank you. Thank you.
It is a gift. It is something you take pride in doing when you deliver your stuff. I've kind of seen clips of yours,
Mhm.
doing your Pundit Eye work, and I have to say, you've done well. You have a good way to connect with the audience, which is another great skill to have. So
Thank you.
I
Thank you.
just thought I'd let you know that. So, I mean, I know you came from a good background. You mentioned that. I have no recollection of your father or something along the line. Is your father a pundit as well too, or any family
Yes.
member?
Dad is our entire family comes from the line of
Oh,
Pandits. Dad is also a Pandit. My Aja is a
okay.
Pandit.
It's all coming now. It's been a few years
Yeah.
since I interviewed
Yes.
you, right?
Yes.
Oh, wow. So your dad is kind of retire with his pandit thing, or he still
So
does it
yeah,
too?
he's coming down to the later stages of life. He's going to
Hmm.
turn 60 in a few weeks.
Hmm.
So he is going to start to slow down now and
Hmm.
dedicate himself, yes, more to God, but at the same time more to us as the family. Because in the field of Panditai, you have little time for you. A lot of your time and energy goes to a lot of people in terms of trying to help them, trying to inspire them, trying to make sure that they develop into the best versions of themselves. And Dad has spent a lot of years doing that for people. So now in these later stages, I told him, I say, it's time to give us some love, time to give
Hmm.
your home a little more
Hmm.
attention. Because even though he was giving all the attention to the outside, my father had a beautiful way of balance. He was
Hmm.
able to, yes, give on the outside, but at the same time, give mom and I the attention we needed. Even though he would be tired and exhausted and sometimes you're drained, he found a way. He found a way.
Awesome. So when you say mom and I, are you suggesting to us that you are the only child?
Yeah, the only child.
Okay, yeah. Oh, no. It's good to know these things, After. Thank you for sharing that with us. I want to ask you a question, and it might be a difficult question, or it might not be. Um, in my earlier years, I work as an employment counselor, and career developer and all of these types of things. And so I've kind of guide people in my earlier years, not so much now. Like people still reach out for different things, but and I have the opportunity to listen to people's story and what is it that they would like to do, for a career and choosing subjects and programs and all of these types of things. Many of those ones. And in fact, my doctorate my thesis for my doctorate was based on best practices for inclusive hiring. So I couldn't get away from that, from the fact that
Yeah.
I have a niche when it comes to these related stuff. So my question to you: did you feel pressured to kind of continue on with the Pundit Eye thing, or did it came naturally for you and it's something that you wanted to do?
So I love that question. That's a beautiful
Mhm.
question.
Mhm.
I was not pressured at all.
Mhm.
So dad and mom, they made sure I'm very much academically oriented. So school
Mm,
was number one priority. I have both degrees actually, and at this stage, I may have intentions of going further, but the Pundit came naturally. And how
mm,
it came, so yes, being in school, being involved in music, those were choices. Those were me saying, hey, I want to do this. I want to be able to play drum. I want to be able to play the harmonium. I want to be able to sing. It was my words to mom and dad that day. You know what? Let's really
mm,
get him into a class and let him do this if he's wishing to do it. The Pundit it came very naturally because I looked at dad and I looked at the enjoyment that dad has for it. And I realized, hey, that's yes, it's his purpose, but he's very
mm,
much passionate about it. He's always happy. My dad is always in a good mood. And
mm,
I said,
mm,
you know what? That's a life that I would love to have. I would love to always have passion for what I'm doing, and I love to always be happy. And Pandit apart from being in school and having worked in places, I didn't find the joy anywhere else other than being in the field of Pandit other
mm,
than being in the field of anything getting me closer to God or getting me
mm.
closer to dealing with people or talking to people or interacting with families and children. So it came very naturally, and it is something that I wanted to do for those simple reasons of my dad setting the right example of enjoying what he does and being so happy. And so far, I enjoy what I do. I love being Pundit Ajay Rambli. And by the blessings of the God, I wish I can keep going as long as God wants me to.
Well, we hope it works out well in your favor because that is a beautiful thing. As long as you enjoy what you do, right? That is a beautiful thing. It gives a special kind of satisfaction within, right?
Yes.
And if you don't get to be part of it, you feel as if like there's a missing piece there, that's for
Yes.
sure. So,
Yes.
and you've said it nicely, and that's also a beautiful thing. But do know that there are a lot of people that struggle with that too. A lot of people are not able to find, their purpose and things of that sort, right? So it looks like things fall in place for you. But at the end of the day, if you believe in karma, which I think you do, you are probably enjoying some of that too.
Yes. Yes.
Right? Yeah.
Yes.
Right. And so that is a beautiful thing. And so when you say you enjoy, like I want you to share it, break it down for us. I have a good sense as to what you've just said. But when you say you enjoy the Pandidai, like what is it you enjoy the most? Do you enjoy kind of engaging with the people, knowing that you're engaging them into something that will be beneficial to them, that they themselves can, can see, the world in a more positive way, as you mentioned earlier as well, too. Um, is that what you enjoy the most, or do you just enjoy like everything that comes with it? Because music is also a beautiful thing. You know music well.
Yeah.
Is it a combination or is it a specific thing?
So for me, it's definitely a combination because
Mm,
everything makes it, right?
mm,
Everything makes it. I will start with the thing that I enjoy most is the learning and the reading because as you will know, and many of
mm,
our Hindus will know, we have so many different Puranas, different scriptures relating the Leelas or the Kathas, or as we say, the stories of
mm,
God. And you read and you understand the life in which they live, the avatars or the avatars in which they took, and how they navigated life. Everything that they would have done is how we also go through life. They face problems, we face problems. They had success, we had success. They have failures, we have failures. The scriptures and the Puranas is a cheat code or is like a secret guide on living life and understanding how to deal with life. So that's something I really enjoy reading and learning and gaining knowledge. Two things that on a normal basis, or if I wasn't in the field, I wouldn't have read otherwise. But because I am in the field, you read and you learn. So that's something I really enjoy in the Pandita is the learning and the gaining of the knowledge that makes you understand God a bit more. The music and stuff, yes, I love my music. I love drumming. I love when everybody comes together and you create
mm,
a vibration or
mm,
energy and everybody's clapping and singing congregational worship. There's something so divine about it where everybody can come together and they say a prayer. Everybody can come together and they sing a bhajan or they sing
mm,
a kirtan. And something that I found myself really loving, and again, it goes back to my dad, is the interaction with people. You see, when you sit on a singhasan, there's a certain level of responsibility that you must take at that point in time. Me sitting on a singhasan, I cannot go down the rabbit hole and start to insult and start to quarrel and
mm,
start to condemn. My mindset on a singhasan is to make sure that the people who are there, they leave being a better version of themselves. So when I go on that singhasan, I have that blessing to be able to give words of encouragement, give words of motivation, give words of inspiration, and take a person out of whatever darkness they may be in and bring them onto light. And you see that connection you feel with that person, and a person can come up to you and say, hey, today was a really bad day, but me just hearing you for 30 minutes or an hour changed my entire day, changed my mood. That moment where a person looks at you and say, hey, you made me feel better, that's what I love. And that's why I want to keep doing it over and over, because that feeling you get from just knowing that somebody's day is better because of you, or somebody's mood is better because of you, that feeling is priceless.
Thank you so much for that. You brought up a very interesting piece here. You mentioned about the importance of not judging people. You kind of said it in a different way.
Yeah.
And so many years ago, I'm from Ghana, if you weren't aware. So I visited Ghana. So because I was, a very regular person going to the temple, I was an assistant pundit, by the way, in my
Yeah.
earlier days and whatnot. So I understand the importance of it and so forth. But I'm at a different place in life right now where I see God in everybody and in every situation. So, anyways, I'm connected in different ways. But I visited, a lot of temples and a lot of, religious ceremonies and so forth. And there was a pundit there, and he asked people were sitting, like they had benches and so forth.
Yeah.
And he asked people to sit down flat, that people should not be sitting on the bench. For me personally, I had an issue with that
Mhm.
because in a sense, he's judging those people in a different way, and he's kind of saying to people, right? He's assuming that they can just sit down there,
Yeah.
and maybe there's a chance that maybe they were sitting down there for a reason. What's
Correct.
your thought on that? There, again, this is a safe space. We're not putting anybody down in any shape or form, but I think you hammer something here
Yeah.
that's
Yes.
important for us to talk about. So respond to that.
Yes. It's, listen, as a pundit, when you're up there, or when you're on the limelight, or in your spotlight, or you're by the Bedi, or in your singhasan, your only duty is to be responsible and to be the best version of yourself. There's no way that me being on that singhasan gives me any power to judge you, condemn you, or criticize you, or make you do anything that you're not comfortable in doing. You being in the temple alone is you going out of maybe your comfort zone. Maybe you come there that one day because you want to feel a connection to God, and then I am the Baba talking to you harshly and telling you do this and do that and sit down here and don't do that. That's wrong. My duty is to simply make you feel better about yourself and make you feel more connected with God. So whether you sit on the ground or you sit in the back of the temple like many of them do, or you sit on a chair, the main thing, you are there. You took the effort, you took the chance to be there, and there's nothing more that I can wish for. I just have to do my job and make sure you leave there being a better version of yourself.
Yeah. Thank you so much for responding to that question, because at the end of the day, it is easy for us to kind of judge people in so many different ways. And when you're introducing yourself, I like how you kind of introduce yourself. It's connecting based on your response right now. And at the end of the day, believe it or not, you'll be amazed to know that a lot of people. But people don't know what they don't know. A lot of people sometimes have anxiety, they have anxiety to be at the front to begin
Yeah,
with, you know what I
correct.
mean? And you don't know these things, right? Where some people want to be at the forefront, right? And so forth, right? And I think we now have to find a way to kind of bridge that gap. I also saw folks where they were kind of outside. They were in the compound, they were sitting like kind of outside of the mandir. But for me, I saw it as an opportunity to kind of say, hey, this is a first step here. No, at least he made it this far,
Yeah,
and then maybe eventually, because I feel that if we take the responsibility to run temples and so forth, which is not an easy thing, I think we also have an obligation and responsibility to kind of assist in those areas. And how can we make that space
yeah,
welcoming? For
correct.
sure. Awesome. You have a lot of fans, a lot of people too. A lot of people are saying good things about you here, which is a beautiful thing. So
Yeah,
maybe at some point you want to take the opportunity after the show to kind of read it. It means that you have made an impact to the lives of many people, right? Because it is very clear. I don't know who those people are, but it goes to show that they enjoy you bringing your knowledge and sharing your knowledge with them for sure. So let's say you were to come back again. Ideally, people want to be with God, especially when they are at that high level like yourself, and the aim is not to come back here, you know. The
Yeah.
aim is kind of, right? But assuming, assuming, so this is for the sake of the interview here. If you were to come back here, will you choose a different profession? Will you be, doing something else? What is it that you hope to do if you were to like live your life all over again? Not even
Yeah.
come back after that, but like if you were to restart your life all
If
over
I
again.
if I had the opportunity to come back or even just to start all over again, I would take the same pathway because the pathway is getting me closer to God. As you said, there are many people saying nice things about me. That's good. Again, as you said, it means I would have impacted their lives. So I would do it all over again. Even my mistakes or where I would have faltered, that's okay. That has made me who I am today. So I would do it all over again. I would change absolutely nothing. Once the path is connecting me to God, I am happy to do it again.
Thank you. So when you're not doing your Panditai, work and things of that sort,
Mhm.
what else do you do with your time?
My
Like, do you
time.
have like another job as well?
So no. So when I finished
Mm-hmm.
university,
Mm-hmm.
I went into the field of work. I worked at the bank and I worked at a different company for quite some time. And as I said, the joy
Yeah.
wasn't there. So you started to fall back a little more on the Panitai. And right
Mm-hmm.
now, I've gotten really much so busy and
Yeah.
so invested in the Panitai that there's no other time to do anything. I have puja almost every day. Once it's auspicious time is because
Mm-hmm.
sometimes
Yeah.
certain
Yeah.
month or certain days there are days that's not recommended to do certain things. But
Mm-hmm.
once it's auspicious and everything is in alignment, I am in a puja. I was fortunate enough to be blessed that my Panitai is very much busy. So it's puja, it's funerals, it's weddings, it's satsang. So my time is mainly there. Whenever I'm not doing that, however, I have a little life behind the scene as well, and that is my personal time or my leisure time. So whenever I'm not in Dhoti Kurta,
Mm-hmm.
what I love doing, you see my mom and dad, I cannot live without my mom and dad. I love them. I really, really love them. So any moment I have to spend with them, if I'm not in Panditai, it's with mom and dad. That it might some people may not like that, but I'm telling you, if you are fortunate to have parents alive, God love them, especially when they have given you everything that you have. So apart from being with mom and dad and doing little activities with them, for me, I love hiking. So every now and again, I would take a little hike with some friends. I love the beach. So
Mm-hmm.
whenever I could, we go to the beach. So you said it's very cold in Canada. In
Yeah.
Trinidad, it's hot. It's always hot. So whenever we can go to the beach, we go. Yes, rain will come, but rain only stops cricket. Rain doesn't stop
Mhm,
anything else.
mhm.
So that's my leisure time. So Panatai is my main thing, but for fun, it's doing anything with mom and dad, even if it's just sitting in front of the TV and watching a movie with them, or going to the movies with them, or hiking with the friends, something that just gets you on the outside.
Well, thank you for sharing that with us. So, if you ever decide to get into a relationship,
Yeah.
um, it's going to take you a while because I'm being transparent with you here. I know you're a pundit and you love what you do, but I'm being open and honest with you as well too. Because we live in a different era, and
Yes.
and a lot of folks don't like the small and law business,
Not at all.
but
Not at all.
right, but
Not
you are a very blessed individual. I can tell, and I really appreciate you openly sharing your joy here because it is a beautiful thing, right? Safe space and sharing these kinds of things. I think it is so important, and I'm happy to know that you're doing what you love doing, and it's working out in your favor for sure. So, where do you see yourself 5 years from now?
5 years, I see myself a better individual. So
Mm,
we all make mistakes from time to
mm,
time.
mhm,
We slip up from time to time, but in 5 years' time, I want to see myself on the same pathway, preserving Dharma, propagating Dharma in the purest way possible, meaning not allowing it to get tainted by the money and the name and the fame and all of these
mhm,
things that tarnish our
mhm,
religion. To keep
mhm.
it as pure as I can, to keep it as beautiful as I can. And I'm praying, I've been trying my best, but I have been getting an insane amount of eye down. I'm trying to take my knowledge or my ability a little more international. So that's where I put myself in 5 years, maybe getting the chance to come up back to Canada or somewhere else around the world to maybe reach out to more people, educate more people, or connect
Mm.
with people who want to connect to Hinduism or who
Yeah.
want to connect to God more. So that's where I see myself in 5 years, aiming to do that, or hopefully doing it and keeping it as pure and as honest as possible.
Awesome. Have you visited Canada in the past?
Yes, so after
Oh,
we
you
would
have.
have spoken in
Oh,
the
yes,
last
yes, yes, yeah.
years ago, I did come. I came, I think it was the month of May of
Okay.
2023. I
Okay.
came to visit, I have a dada up there, an uncle up there. So I
Okay.
came to see him. And at the same time, I did a very small satsang for a family there, Gita. They wanted a reading from the Srimad Bhagavad Gita. So we did that. And we just did a little tour, the Niagara Falls and all of
Yeah,
these
yeah,
things.
yeah.
And that was the only time. So hopefully soon again, by the grace
Yeah.
of God.
Yeah. You have to keep me in the loop when you're here, you know. Do know I
Oh,
live in Canada here.
yes.
So when you came in Ontario, you came like in Toronto area?
Yes, I was in Toronto. I believe it's I could be wrong with the name of the
Mm-hmm.
exact location, but I believe it's Mississauga they are in.
Mississauga, yeah, Mississauga.
That's
Yeah.
that's the area that,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that
Yeah.
I would have known.
Yeah. So if you happen to come back, which I hope you do, stay connected with me. It's gonna be nice to kind
For
of
sure.
connect and
For
there
sure.
are a lot of temples and stuff in our area, you know, we can always make some connection for you to
Oh,
share your
oh,
knowledge
definitely.
and all of that, right?
Yes. Thank you. Thank you.
That's awesome. So, I mean, you are, a pundit, so you will be doing more readings, in terms of the scriptures because you are, doing pujan, you are, you're educating people, you're educating yourself as well too, and all of this. So you'll be doing a lot of different variety of readings. So for me, I like the Bhagavad Gita. I
Yeah.
find that it's nice and simple. I can randomly, which I do, I randomly open any page of the Bhagavad Gita and kind of read it, and I find that that keeps me grounded, kind of thing, so to speak.
Mhm.
I'm not sure if you know Pandit Prakash Desai.
Mhm.
You
Yes.
may have heard. I know you're young, but anyway, so and like everybody has their own little niche. I guess I'll use that word here. And he really did a good job with the Ramayana and so forth. He really works for that. So my question to you, um, d- um, I don't want to pressure you here, but do you have like a specific piece of yours that you enjoy doing the most? For example, do you enjoy quoting stuff from the Bhagavad Gita? Do you do a mixture of all? Are you able to connect, dots, maybe something from the Ramayana, and things
Mhm,
of that
mhm,
sort?
mhm. So in various situations, it calls for you to be able to link a lot of things together. For me
Mm-hmm.
personally, like how you enjoy the Gita,
Mm-hmm.
I enjoy Ramayana and the Shiv Puran. So I
Mm-hmm.
connect with those really much often. Again, that whole story of Prabhu Sri
Mm-hmm.
Ram and everything he dealt with, that
Mm-hmm.
is life today. Yeah, that is life today.
Mm-hmm.
So I really connect with the Ramayana, and more times than not, if you're doing a satsang or even if I'm in a funeral, you may quote a chaupai or you may quote a line from the Ramayana that represents life and that can direct somebody how to live life or how to maybe improve in certain things. Similar to the Gita is brilliant and there's a lot of little gems of knowledge that directs us to live
Mm-hmm.
a better
Mm-hmm.
life. But for me, I connect really much more with the Ramayana in particular.
Mm-hmm. No. Yeah, thank you. Thank you for that. It's nice to have those broad knowledge, especially in the profession you are in, for sure.
Yes, yes.
Society has changed, as you know. We live in a digital world. We live in a different era, and it seems to be a challenge for whatever the reason is. I think I may know some of the reasons, personal reasons, but for some reason, there seems to be a challenge to have people to actually go to temple sometimes, right?
Mhm, mhm.
Um, and again, we are not here to fix anything in any shape or form. We are not here to blame anybody in any shape or form, and things of that sort. Why is that, you think?
I think priority. A lot of times people don't prioritize the Monday or they don't prioritize a couple of moments in connecting with God. You see, we live in a really, really busy world.
Mm-hmm.
And people sometimes they get so caught up in life that those things that we may think it's little or somebody may say, well, that's not so important, which is wrong. It's very important like God or connecting with God, people may put that more in the back seat and they will put their other priorities or their other concerns in more of the front seat. So a lot of people, they don't really go to the mandir again because they put it kind of like second place and they put other things first. And then a lot of people believe, hey, you know what? I can just say my prayers at home. which is true. You can definitely say your prayers at home, and make sure you do say your prayers at home. I always tell people you say your prayers any day, every day, anytime, wherever you may be. Coming to the Monday, it gives us an opportunity to maybe connect in a congregational way. Sometimes coming together and talking to people who may be going through something similar to you, that can change a person a lot, or that can maybe get a person through a little dark situation that they may be in. So I would hope to see people come out to the Monday more, but I think one of the main reasons they don't come is because they don't prioritize it. They don't see it as a priority in life. Many people are, they live in the world and they allow the world to live in them. Where in reality, I believe you live in the world, but don't allow the world to live in you. So once we can understand that and make a little adjustment into that, hopefully people start to prioritize God a bit more, put God a bit more first, because once God is first, everything else will fall in place.
Yeah. And I mean, you will know, but based on my recollection, I believe the very first verse of the Ramayana talk about the importance of people coming together,
Coming
if I'm
together.
not mistaken, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Well, thank you so much for that. So, my dear fellow listeners and viewers, for those of you who have just tuned in, I just want to remind you that you are watching and listening to Dr. Narine Dat Show. And the whole purpose of this show is to create a safe space for positive energy like we are having right now, and have that mutual respect, right? We are not here to kind of make things more worse than what it is. I also want to remind you that there are a few different ways to listen to us. You can listen to us on the regular dial, that's the radio, 102.7 CKMS FM. You can listen to us on Rogers digital cable as well, for those of you who have the Rogers digital box. And of course, we are also live streaming our interview here by all means, do take the opportunity to kind of share our interview so that more people can get to not only know our guests, but to learn a thing or two as well too. Very brilliant young man, that's for sure. There's a reason why we invited him back on the show. Um, During our time doing the Let's Chit Chat with Narine Dat Show, we used to do it every day. Now we're doing the Dr. Narine Dat Show just once a week. The format will be changing, by the way. I want folks to know that, but I will keep you informed, of the changes. So not to worry, but it will look very, very different for sure. And so, how about pundit shortage? Is there a pundit shortage in Trinidad? Here in Canada, I can tell you, especially where I live here, we have pundit shortage that I can tell you. New York is very, very different. They probably have too many there. But
Mhm.
here, if I decide to get back into it and so forth, I can do well. But because there's a need, no, and I'm serious about this. So it's nice to have people to take on these roles, take on these things. I'm very happy with the choices I've made in life, because for me, being a person who attended temples and so forth at a very early age, I find that I kind of learned the things that I wanted to learn very, really quick, and so I came to the realization that I see God in everybody, and I kind of try my best to kind of live that way. It is irrelevant to me, if people believe in something else or not. I'm able to separate my personal values from my professional values. But honestly, when I came to Canada, the idea was to continue on with the Pandit. But because of the shortage of Pandit and so forth, and from some other stuff and whatnot, I took a different path, but I have no regrets of taking a different path
Yeah.
as well too, because I find like I have the best of both worlds that way, so to speak. But I guess let me get back to the question: is there a shortage of pundit at all? Because there's a lot of chutney singers you guys have there.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know
Canada
how
is,
shortage of chutney singers, that's for sure. How
yeah.
about pundit? That's important, you
No,
know.
there's no shortage of pundits in Trinidad. There's
Oh.
a lot of pundits. We are very fortunate and we are very blessed to have a lot of pundits, whether they belong to, there's different organizations that we fall under. But in the end of the day, I always say, whichever organization you belong to, once you're doing the proper thing and you're getting yourself always aligned in God and getting everybody in alignment with God, we're good. We're good. So we have enough. We have enough. So we're okay for now. We're okay for now.
Okay. And so, apart from your father, being a mentor for you, did you had anybody else kind of thing to kind of mentor along, let's say specifically as it relates to the Ramayana, for example?
Yes, so if you're looking from a family point of view, my nana, which is my mom's dad,
Hmm.
he would have probably been the biggest inspiration out of all for me. Because when I was a
Wow.
young child, I would go by him for holidays, just like how any grandchild, they go by the
Yeah,
grandparents for
yeah.
holidays. And my nana, he had a little mandir in his yard, personal mandir, and he would go and he would have his harmonium and he would sing and read the Ramayana. He was very much invested in the Ramayana, so maybe that's why it connects with me a bit more. And he would do the Doha and the Chaupai and the Arti and all of these things. So he was a really big inspiration to me in the way in which he did things and even in the way in which he lived his life away from the mandir. Again, doing the best that he could do for people. Always the time that I would have spent with my nana, if we would go to the market together, he would probably buy the market goods for somebody if needed be. He would give whatever he could have given to somebody. Sometimes he would do food and he would share it with somebody. He would go above and beyond. And my nanny as well. My nanny is actually home by me right now. She's spending a little holidays as well. And apart from family wise, my guru. So, everybody at some
Yep,
point in
yep.
time must connect with a guru. So,
Important.
my
Yep.
guru is a really, really brilliant guy, a really loving guy. And when I saw him for the first time, I was probably about 7 years old. And the way in which he read, the way in which he explained, and the
Hmm.
simplicity in which he did it, it was Ramayana again. I
Hmm.
fell in love with it immediately, and I very much gravitated towards him. I said, wow, he's making it so simple. He's making it so relevant in today's world, and there's such an energy and vibration around him. And I kind of model myself, or maybe in a way in which I do things based on him. He's my guru, so it's always good to take a little inspiration from people like him who would have
Hmm.
set the stage. So they would probably be my major inspirations, my Nana and my guru.
Awesome. So you being a pundit, um, I mean, obviously, you're doing your Pundit work. It takes a lot of time, preparation, all of these things, and so forth. So you spend your time in very interesting spaces,
Mhm.
spaces that makes you feel your best self, as you
Yes,
were
yes.
saying, and so forth. But when you're doing your hiking and everything else, do
Mhm. Mhm.
you? I'm assuming you have friends that you are
Yes.
hanging out with.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
They're not pandits or anything, eh?
No, the friends that I hung out with, they are not in the same field like me. They are all different things.
Yeah.
So no, they are not pirates.
And that's okay, right? Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's really good. You see, it's refreshing because you
Hmm.
have persons from different fields and different
Hmm.
viewpoints on life. So that when you do come together, which is
Hmm.
not all the time because again our schedules doesn't permit it, but when you come together and you hear their views on life and you hear their stories and then they hear my stories and everybody can come together, it's refreshing. Then you're in the same bubble at all times and you're dealing with the same situations at all times. So it gives you a different energy. It gives you a different perspective on life. And the friends that I keep, I don't have much. I believe true friends are like diamonds, precious and rare, and fake friends
Hmm.
are like pebbles or leaves found here, there, and everywhere. So in our world, sometimes you don't know who's really for you or who's really against you. So the persons that I interact with is people who I connect with for whatever reason it may be, who make me feel just like, oh, this is a safe space. They make me feel safe. They make me feel comfortable. So that's who I choose to spend my time with. And it's always good to interact with them and be with them and do things with them. It's refreshing. Very, very refreshing.
Awesome. What would you say is your biggest life lesson you've learned? I know you're young, but at least so
Oh,
far.
no, no, no. I've learned quite a few.
That's good. That's good. We're all
Okay.
learning, right? It's always something to learn, that's for sure.
One of the biggest life lessons I would have learned. Okay. I learned
I
that
mean,
whenever you have failed, whenever
mhm,
you've fallen back a little bit,
mhm,
don't look at it as failure. Look at it as Bhagwan, God, holding a bow and an arrow. He's holding the bow and you are the arrow. And whenever you fall back, it's like God pulling back that arrow. And when that arrow has enough tension on it and he lets go, the arrow is pelted, it shot as far as it can go until it hits its target. So one thing I've learned at a very early age is that whenever you're falling back or whenever you feel like if you're failing, just know God is maybe pulling you back right now to shoot you forward, to achieve something that you may not have even thought possible to achieve.
absolutely, absolutely. Have you ever considered become a psychotherapist? Because you're doing well here. But it's so true. It is so true. A lot of times, people just do things, and they expect perfection. They expect them to be successful at the very first try, and so forth. And if something goes wrong, or if they're if they find that things are not going their way, they can be discouraged and so forth. They're not realizing that the situation is telling them something, right?
Correct.
And
Correct.
you are seeing it that way. You've kind of explained it that way, which is a beautiful thing. So I just kind of reflect back on that because you've hit a very important piece there for sure. And so, at what age do you think you will train one or two people to follow your footstep in terms of becoming a pundit specifically? Because at some point, I
Yeah.
think it will be important. I mean, you're young now, obviously, but
Mhm.
at some point, I think it will be important for you to pass to pass it on, the torch on to somebody else. Maybe a young kid who's watching right
Yes.
now has
Yeah.
no idea that 20
Hmm.
years from now, he will become, or 15 years and whatnot from now,
Hmm.
he too, can become a pundit. Any thought on that at all?
I think anybody who is willing to learn, if they reach out to me, and I've had persons reach out to me already. Once they reach out to me and I feel like I have the knowledge to give them, I will give them. Even though I'm at a young age, because I believe you can learn from anybody. You can learn even from a smallest child. A baby can sometimes teach you something and be like, oh, wow, I didn't even think of that. So I have myself open. Anybody who wants to learn or anybody who reaches out for some sort of knowledge, once they're able to connect with me or contact me in the proper way, I'll always be willing to give that support to them or give that guidance. In terms of at doing more and maybe reaching out to more of the youths or the young ones who really wants to go into the field, when I feel that I have reached a stage where I have sufficient knowledge, because we never have enough knowledge, you never stop learning. But when I
Mhm.
feel I have a knowledge that can really maybe educate somebody, or I have enough knowledge in terms of the Gita that off the top of my head, I can just quote a shloka in chapter 9, or I can quote a shloka in chapter 2, like many of our pundits can do. When I have arrived at that level, then I would feel like, I'm a bit more comfortable in giving knowledge or teaching to somebody or maybe educating somebody in whatever way in which they wish to be educated. So I can do it now, yes, and I have little things, but maybe in about 10, 15 years later, when I've reached a stage of more comfort in myself and my ability.
Yeah, thank you. So I want to take a moment here, if that's okay,
Yeah.
to say hello to a few people.
Mhm.
Coincidentally, this is just a coincidence. Coincidentally, our next guest a week from today is a Trinidadian, and coincidentally, he's also pundit.
Okay.
But
Okay.
he lives here in Canada.
Mhm.
Dr. Chady will be joining us.
Okay.
He goes back to Trinidad as well too, and he does puja there as well too. And he's always a busy individual as well too. So we'll have him there. Let me take a few minutes there, a few seconds rather, to say hello to Mahendra. Thank you so much, sir. I'm pretty much sure you folks are cold in New York City as well too. Um, and another Mahendra, there are two Mahendra here. Coincidentally, Mahendra is the other Mahendra who lives in Toronto. His father was a pandit, passed away, but he does all of these pandit. He doesn't call himself a pandit per se, but he does all of these pujas and he does it. They have a big family, so when it comes to weddings and so forth, they do all of everything on their own, so to speak. And he's doing really, really well. So thank you, Mahendra Sharma,
Okay.
for taking a sneak peek. A very, very talented individual for sure. Sandy is, I believe, a fan of yours for sure, a supporter of yours. I know my people, so I see one or two new people as well too. Um, Nadira, thank you so much for taking a sneak peek. A good friend of mine, Ken Rampersad, who also has a talk show, doing really, really well. He's not a Hindu or anything of that sort, but he always support pundits as well too. He support
Right.
everybody, which is a beautiful thing. And all of you, I cannot see everybody here, but I just thought I kind of acknowledge a few people here as well, kind of thing, which is great. So I want to ask you another question, and this might be I do not want to assume. I'm going to ask you a question, and you can feel free to respond to it. And by all means, you can pass as well too. And I will be asking Pandit Chedi next week the same very question. And I was curious about this as well too. So me growing up, I've not seen like women are becoming pundits and so forth. I've seen one or two in between, kind of, somehow they kind of say, look, we can do this as well too. Is there a reason behind all of this kind of thing? Because I don't have any knowledge of that. Because for me, I think I think it should be okay, but I want to hear from you. And again, it probably might be a little bit of an interesting question, but go ahead and respond if you so choose, and if not, you can pass.
No, I'll respond to it. Um, for many years now, we have been told it's a bit of a touchy subject.
Hmm.
I personally believe if you, like myself, propagating Dharma in a pure way, you're doing it honestly, you're connecting to God, you do it. You absolutely do it. Whether you're male, whether you're female, you do what is in your heart. Once your heart is good, your mind is good, and you're actually making a difference in somebody's life, nothing could stop you. Nothing could prevent you. You could say a prayer, I could say a prayer. You could sing a bhajan, I could sing a bhajan. There's no difference. There's absolutely no difference in my opinion. There are many of my colleagues, they will very much disagree with me.
Hmm.
Um, but me personally, you do what you're comfortable with. Once you know it again in your heart, it's good and you're not hurting anybody and you're not discouraging anybody, by all means, do do what you gotta do. Be a pundit, be a pandita, whatever you choose, do it and do it to the best of your ability. That's all I request. If you're doing it, do it to the best of your ability.
I will have to dig into that some more because
Yeah.
I want to have a good understanding as to why is it that we normally don't see like women pundits and so forth, right? And I think we really have to. I think it's important. There has to be something that started
Correct. It's
long time
important to
ago.
raise the question. So ask. I'm glad you're asking Pandit next week. You will have a different answer from me. I said, go ahead, do it if you want me to do it. He may say no or whatever he may say, but ask the question. And I pray to God, something that I've noticed a lot. I think it comes down to a lot of ego. I think it comes down to a lot of ego that sometimes you feel that this person is not qualified to do something. You're not the judge of that. I am not the judge of that. There's only one judge, as you and I spoke earlier privately, God. God is the only judge. So you do what you want to do. Once again, you're not hurting anybody and you're doing it in the best way possible.
um, we have a Pandit Obraj Narine watching from
Mhm.
Guyana. If you have a response, to that question, feel free to kind of
Yeah.
respond there.
And yes, everybody will have a different opinion,
For
but
sure, for sure.
if
Oh no, no, we're only having a conversation here because it was more for me because I've not seen that because even in like certain professions like mechanical type of
Mhm.
roles and so forth. Normally you don't see women. And
Mhm.
I went a few months ago I went to get some work done on my car, and believe it or not, I've seen only women there. And I had to kind of I had came home and I had a conversation and kind of share that because I can see how things are changing in different ways and so forth, which is a good thing because we should not discriminate, between gender and so forth. But I was more, I was very curious when it comes to this whole pandemic thing because I mean, I shouldn't say I've never seen. I've seen like
Mhm.
a handful, very
Mhm.
rarely, and so forth. Kind of took on that role,
Mhm.
but I'm not sure how well they were supported and what. I'm sure that it was challenging, but kudos to
Yes,
them for really kind of kind of said, look,
exactly.
we can
Kudos
do
to them.
that.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely
Yes.
for sure. All right. So hopefully by this conversation now, this kind of get people thinking,
Yeah.
that hey, we can do that too, kind
Correct.
of thing, right? Yeah, for sure, absolutely for sure. So let's say you have folks who are watching now and they always wanted to, let's say they have been following you because you have a good set of followers and and supporters in terms of the things you do as it relates to Panadai. So let's say over the years you've had folks watching you and they're thinking, you know what, look, everything Pandit is saying here makes a lot of sense. And I've always felt that within myself as well too. What advice do you have for them if they really want to kind of live a life as such as yours?
Or to live a life like mine's. So again, in a nutshell, my life
Mm,
is a life that is connected to God. My
mhm.
life is a life that's connected to bettering people when you break it down very simply. So if I had to give any sort of advice to anybody who wants to follow the path, make sure the ego is in check. You see, your ego, which we all possess, that
Mhm.
has to be in check. Because you sit on a singhasan or because you have a platform doesn't give you the opportunity to belittle anybody or speak down to anybody or embarrass anybody. Everybody's fighting a battle. So when you take up a role of responsibility or you take up a role of authority, just know that people are dealing with things and how you deal with them can either break them or it can make them. So if you're following any footsteps or you're following the path of connecting to God or bringing out the best in people, make sure you at all points in time do things to bring out the best in yourself. So control your ego, control your lust, control your hatred, control your jealousy, control anything that keeps you away from God, control anything that keeps you from destroying the lives of people. So make sure you have all of those animalistic qualities, I should say, in check. And once you have those things in check, nothing is stopping you from making somebody's life better. Nothing is stopping you from connecting to God even more than maybe you have already connected.
Very well said, and thank you so much for sharing that with us. At the beginning, you introduced yourself very well,
Yeah.
in a very positive way, and I really like what I heard from you. But I'm going to try to push you a little bit here because you're still young, and you never know what you might face in life,
Yeah.
5 10 years from now, and so forth. Let's say for some reason, you end up facing, lots of, challenges and difficulties and, like negativities and people are challenging you, like you giving your opinion just now about women too can become punished if they so choose because you're not the judge for them. And I think you brought up an excellent point here. Let's say somebody, send you an email and say, look, I've been doing this thing for 40 years. I've known all the scripture. It's right at my fingertip. And what you've just said there, is troublesome. How will you
Mhm.
handle a situation as such?
You see, the thing about it is criticism is part of life. It's part of life. Everybody has their opinion on something. Everybody has their 2 cents on something. And that's what makes life. If everybody had the same opinion and everybody have the same everything, life is not going to be too smooth. It's going to be very boring. So criticism is part of it all. Yes, I've dealt with many criticisms in my short span of career. I'm going to deal with many more, and that's just how it goes. What I will say though, there are various types of criticism, so know the type that you're giving. There's constructive criticism where you actually talk to somebody in a respectful manner and you educate them without bashing them and slandering them and judging them and telling them they're uneducated. There's destructive criticism, which is very much dominant in our society, where you will completely destroy an individual based on their opinion. You will completely embarrass a person based on their mindset being different from yours. That is destructive criticism. And then there's unjust criticism, where sometimes people don't even know anything about you or what's happening in your life, and they say something about you and they send criticism your way. So criticism is part of life. Just make sure that if you're criticizing somebody, it's constructive. Don't bash them, don't condemn them, don't criticize them to the point that you break them, because you will not like if it happens to you. You will not like if you have an opinion about something and I say you're uneducated and I say all the hurtful words about you. The same way it makes you feel in here when your heart is broken or when somebody hurts you or somebody maybe embarrasses you. You don't want to make that feeling go to somebody else. So criticism is there. It's part of it. I will have to deal with it. I have dealt with it. I am dealing with it. I just need to know, hey, just keep going. Just keep going. It's a part of life. Just keep going.
Thank you. I like how you find a way to put a positive spin to everything, which is awesome.
Yeah.
What does a day look your day look like? So you wake up, and you do your thing,
Yeah.
and what you come home, do you do any additional reading as it relates to the scripture? Like do you do any cooking, or does mom does it all? What's happening there?
Yes. A day in my life,
Mhm,
once I wake up, normally depending on the schedule, I'll wake up by maybe 4 or 5 before the sun begins to rise. And I do my hawan or my puja. That's my
mhm,
moment of my
mhm,
connection with God
mhm,
before I go out and I try to make other people connect with God. So
mhm,
once I do what I have to do for myself, and I go onto those roads, whatever I may have, whether it's 2 pujas for the day, or maybe 3 pujas for the day, or maybe a funeral as well, or wedding, whatever it may be, my entire day mainly is spent on the road or by others people homes. And when I finally come home, depending on if I have a Ramayan in the night or satsang in the night, more times or not, 365 days in a year, at least 300 out of those days, I am reaching home at maybe 10 p.m., 11 p.m. Because almost every day it's something on the outside, some Ramayana, some function that we have to be a part of. So when I come home, there's little time for mom and dad. As I said, I love them, but that's why I make so the point to spend as much time as I can, because 90% of the time you're so busy that you're not really getting to be with them as often. So in terms of cooking, I don't cook because I'm never home.
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
I hardly have time to maybe play video games when I was
Mm,
younger. But when I do come home and I spend that little moment with mom and dad before I get myself ready for the next day, no matter what, I take 1 hour, one
mm,
hour every single night. And I sit right on this table that I'm sitting, and I
mm,
would have some scripture in front of me, whether it's the
mm,
Gita, whether it's the Bhagavad, whether it's the Shiv, whatever it may be.
mm,
And even if I just have to read maybe a couple of paragraphs or a couple of shlokas, a couple of chapters, whatever it may be, I make sure I do some sort of reading, because you will read something one time, two times, three times, and get three different meanings for it. The knowledge that you get or the interpretation that you get from something can be so vast.
mm,
So you keep reading, even if I may have read something before, I go back and read it again. I'll be like, oh, I never thought about it this way, or I didn't see it
mm.
from this way, or I didn't interpret it this way. So every single day, no matter what, 1 hour I take to just read, to just educate myself, to just revise something that makes me a better individual for the next day.
Amazing. So, that's what you call discipline.
Yeah, yeah.
And so the fact that you're able to do that consistently is a
Mhm.
beautiful thing. It's a really good thing. And if you continue along that path, life will always be beautiful for you,
Yes.
right? You wake up in the morning because you're living for a purpose, right?
Mm.
And it's such a beautiful thing. You're in a good place in life. I can tell you that based on what you've shared here. You understand that not every day will be the same. You understand that there will be challenges in life, but you also know that sometimes challenges can be an opportunity for us to kind of figure out what's happening here. We may have to take a different direction. While you are here, because I know you have a busy life, and we will have you back again, but I have to be mindful, to give you your space as well too, so you can do your thing. There are a couple of things I want to ask you while I'm here, and again, this is just your opinion, your knowledge, because you have that kind of um, you know um, knowledge in my view to kind of respond to what I'm asking you here. I don't have a script. Usually when I do my interview, I don't have any sort of script. I try to understand the individual as well too, and I'm gonna take advantage, if that's okay, of your knowledge here for a few more minutes. I was watching very briefly a clip that was floating around where a pundit, I believe it was in New York City, asked a couple to leave the temple. And again, don't misunderstand me here in any shape or form. Sometimes, we don't understand the background of certain things, and sometimes people just put a particular clip, and then people kind of, just respond based on what they're seeing. Based on what I've seen and so forth, I did not find it to be appropriate, only because at the end of the day, we have chosen to take on this Pandatai role, right? And yes, we can be irritated by different things and so forth. And I was not bothered by it, but I wanted to give my voice as well to a point that I end up making a video actually
Okay.
along that in regards to that situation.
Mhm.
And this is just a general response here, and this is not you condemning the
Mhm.
Pandit or the folks that had to leave the temple in a shape or form. But
Mhm.
assuming you had, let me put it this way, an easier way for you, assuming you're going to, do your puja tomorrow, and then two people are really irritating you, or they're disrespecting you, they're disrespecting people, disrespecting people, there and whatnot. How will you handle a situation as such?
I'll never ask them to leave. I will never ask them to leave. That's for sure. That's for sure. Because again, as a pundit, you take a certain responsibility. You see, as a pundit, you put yourself in a situation, or you shape yourself in a situation in such a way that you are able to deal with certain situations. And as I said for one of the questions before, in this field of work, you cannot have your ego come in the
Hmm.
front. You cannot have
Hmm.
your hatred come in the front. You cannot have your arrogance and all of these animalistic things come to the front. So, in a situation like that, because I did see the clip, I was sent it many times by people all over in our country and even up there as
Hmm.
well in the US. And I did see it. And in my opinion, it should not have been done. It should not have been done because, again, as a pundit, you are expected to be in a certain way. You are taking up a certain role. You are following a certain level of discipline. You must be able to control your emotions at that point in time. I'm not saying that you can't get vexed. We are human
Mhm.
beings. We
Mhm.
must get angry. Yes, there are going to be people who annoy us, but there's time and place and circumstance for everything. In that Monday, at that point in time, if two people walking who I may not like, let them stay there. Whatever reason they came there for, in my opinion, that's them. I have a job to do and I need to do that job. My job at no point in time is telling that person, pick up your stuff and leave. My job there is to stop on that baby, make sure the devatas are invoked. And again, as I've said many times throughout the interview, make sure you're leaving that mandir being a better person than you entered into that mandir. So you have to put the ego aside. You have to put the arrogance aside. As a pundit, you have to sometimes put your own problems aside and just focus on the goal, focus on the goal, focus on the goal, and let everything come to pass in a time. You cannot at any point in time allow your ego to rule you, or allow your arrogance to rule you, or allow that power that you have gained on that singhasan or by that bedi to make you say words of negativity or words of harshness to people. Whether you like them or you don't like them, you have a duty, you have a responsibility. Do your duty.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much for that. I didn't mean to put you in the spot, but I like how you're taking the privilege and respond to the question I'm asking you, and you're hammering out each question so well. Very brilliant, young man, are you? Great. Awesome. When you go do this puja, right? Obviously people cook and all of these types of things, and as you would know, and people will know, there are a lot of sweet stuff, like the sweet rice. People probably have different name for it in at different
Yeah, yeah,
places. In Ghana, we say
yeah,
sweet rice, but you know,
yeah.
right? But anyways, and so forth. Do you kind of because you do this like very often, like do you kind of make sure that you are having a balance? Because in reality, on one hand, studies saying like, all of these, sugary stuff, I'm going to be speak
Yes,
bluntly here. We have to be mindful of it and so forth. Do
yeah,
you kind of, are you conscious of that as well, to say, look, I would rather eat, the vegetarian dish,
yeah,
like
yeah.
the seven curry piece and things of
Mhm,
that sort?
mhm, mhm. So I'll be honest with you,
Yeah,
when
I
you
want
have a
honesty here.
schedule, when you have a schedule like I have, and you have beautiful people, because I believe I do puja for some of the most loving human beings in the world. That's my opinion. Everywhere I
Mhm.
go, I feel very loved and very welcome. But when the issue comes is that if you do 4 pujas a day, the four
Mhm.
families ask you to eat. Baba, eat the sweet rice. Baba, eat a kurma. Baba,
Yeah.
eat some parsad. Baba, eat the seven curry, as you say, whatever it may be.
Yeah.
And you can't tell them no. Because if you tell them no, they feel, oh my, is my puja incomplete without Baba partaking of something? So it's a
Mhm.
battle that I have been fighting as I've been getting busier. And I'm being very honest, I've put on some weight since I've been dealing with that
Mhm.
battle. But what I have to do and what I've started to do from this year is that I have to balance it.
Mhm.
Because what I've been telling a person, if I'm eating chana and curry
Mhm.
and rice
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
sweet rice and gulab jamun 4 or 5 times a day,
Mhm.
every single day in the year, I will not be there to do your puja next year. God alone knows what will happen to me. Instead of
Mhm.
connecting to God, God might take me by Him one time. So I've been telling everybody, I have to find a balance. So what I'm
Mhm.
asking people to do, fruits,
Mhm. Yeah.
vegetables,
Yeah.
whatever it would be, something light. Even if I just sit on the table and drink a water and eat some broccoli, as I did
Mhm.
today,
Oh, okay.
you are happy, I am healthy, we are good to go.
Yeah. Yeah, I asked for a purpose because I know of one or two. I mean, I'm very connected with different pundits and so forth.
Yes,
It's not always on social media per se, but known of a few folks where it has affected them, in their later years and so forth. So I've kind of it I thought of it. So I don't mean this in a bad way or a negative way, but I really appreciate and respect how you kind of responded to it. And you brought up such a great point here. People are expecting you because that's their puja.
correct.
They don't care about the other puja that you're doing. Like they invite you. You know what I mean? They invite you to be there, and it probably will. It's probably extremely difficult for them to hear the word no. So maybe you will have to come up with creative ways to still be part of it and still sit with
Yes.
them, and maybe smaller portions and things of that sort. kind of thing. Yeah. So yeah, yeah. Good, good. You are on the right track. I'm glad that you already look into that
Yep, yep.
and so forth. Yeah, yeah. Awesome. Good stuff. So listen, you have given us more than what we bargained for. I don't think, it was a coincidence that we connected. That I can tell you. I think it was meant to be. It was such of a pleasure, I want you to know, to kind of have you on here. And we will have you back again, based on your availability because you have lots to offer. And I think, in my view of things, I think you are a good role model for a lot of people. I want you to know that, right?
Thank
A
you.
lot of times we need all the different reminders, and you and I speak the same language, that I can tell you. And the fact that you are from a whole different, educational background, but yet you're able to speak the way, you do, with your responses and importance for people to control their anger and kind of set aside all of those pieces and realize that at the end of the day, people do look up to you, right? Because um, it's, in my view, it's a privilege really to do what you do, right? It takes a lot of sacrifice, especially when you do it for the right reason, right?
Yeah.
You're doing it for the right reason. I think that's important as well too. I want you to know that I cannot think of different ways or different words to say to you, but I hope that you can feel it, what I'm saying to you, that I personally appreciate you. But when you come to Canada here, please by all means connect with me. We'll
Yep.
make it very fruitful for you, in different ways and so forth, because I think um that's a beautiful thing. That's gonna be my way to kind of pay it forward to you, and I guess I'll say that way. I'm now giving you the opportunity to say any last minute thing you would like to say so that you can go get your rest. I believe we are 1 hour. You folks, it's probably after 8 o'clock in Trinidad, right?
Yeah. It
Oh
is,
yes,
yes.
yes, yes. So it's only 11 after 7 here, but I have to be mindful of that too. And obviously to the audience and listeners and viewers and so forth, we thank you, we appreciate you. We have a lot of good things, a lot of interesting thing coming along, within the next few months with the Dr. Narine Dat Show. So something to keep in mind here. But take it away. This moment is yours. Any last minute thing you'd like to say, please do, and then we'll wrap it up.
To everybody who is listening and who's viewing, and I just want to say to all of you, thank you. I've grown so much from the last time I would have done this show with you and being on, the platform. So thank you for all the love. Thank you for all the support. Thank you for making me who I am and for keeping me on the right path. And if you have to remember anything from this interview that I would have said, I want you to remember the little analogy I gave with the bow and the arrow. We all falter from time to time. We all fail from time to time. Not every day is going to be a good day for us. Sometimes we face our battles. We have different wars that we are fighting. But just know that whatever battle you're fighting, you're like that arrow. God has the bow in his hand and he's pulling back that arrow to the point where that tension becomes so much and then he'll let you go. So sometimes when you feel like you're hitting rock bottom, just know that you're going to be shot up to greatness. You're going to just be skyrocketed to something that maybe you could have never imagined for yourself. So keep going, everybody. Keep trying, keep fighting, and never give up. Thank you, everybody.
Amazing. Thank you. So, my dear fellow listeners and viewers, as we are officially approaching the end of tonight's program, I would like to take this opportunity to thank you for tuning in to the Dr. Narine Dat Show. On behalf of myself and our very brilliant guest, Pundit Ajay, both of us would like to join together and wish you a great today and even a better tomorrow. We'll talk to you again soon.